news, very, very big thing. There was a British patrol boat that was in the waters off the coast of Iran, in between Iraq and Iran, in the water there. They're saying that Iranians are saying they came into Iranian water, and the Iranians have taken these people, and they're considered now being held hostage. And the British government is saying that this is very serious, and everybody needs to look at this and to see what it is. The Iranians are saying, if you admit that you were in our water, we will let go the hostages. Thoughts?
How do they know they were in the water exactly? I'm in a pool. I don't even know where the deep end is. How do they know?
Yeah.
Where the water? How do we know?
Well, that's the thing. There's, you know, it's very complicated to see which water is whose. But what they're saying is that they came into what the Iranians consider their zone. And of course, the British are saying, well, we have GPS satellites to say we weren't there. And the Iranians are saying, well, we have satellites to say you were. But
the Iraqis are saying that they were not in Iranian water also, I think.
The Iraqis
they just switched the location, too, didn't they? I just heard that there was, like, at first they were spotted in one location. Now they're saying it could have been another location.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of confusing information about where they actually were. Yeah. But they were on television in Iran, and they released it all over the country, that they showed the hostages who are not visibly injured or tortured, and the woman was wearing the traditional headgear and speaking, saying, you know, yes, we were in the wrong place, which, of course, you know, everyone says she was coerced to say that, but Tony Blair is very concerned that this is a violation of the Geneva Convention to show hostages.
Well, and it also seems to be, some people are saying that this is an act of retaliation. There were some Iranians captured in Iraq for distributing arms there illegally, so they're saying this could be a retaliation for that, or the fact that the UN is now, and other countries are trying to put more pressure on them to end their nuclear enrichment program right now.
Supposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
Well, because Iraq supposedly had a nuclear enrichment program, too, but they didn't actually.
Well, they were also in violation of 17 UN resolutions. So
so were we by invading them against the UN's advice, right?
That was one.
Yeah, but still, if we break the rules of the UN, why should any other nation follow the rules of the UN?
Well, so I guess then no one should follow them now. I mean, that would be insane if no one would follow them now.
I hate when an incident like this causes such turmoil in the world, and, you know, you're just trying to live your life, and the next thing you know, they'll explode a bomb, and then we'll be in a world war.
But who's
it's
they?
Like, well, whoever it is.
Do you think
whatever
this is some sort of conspiracy?
No, I'm not a conspiracy theory type of person. But, you know, you have to look at both sides of the situation. You have a lot of issues going on here.
So what do you think is really happening with the ship that was in there? You think that these British soldiers were used as pawns to try to ignite another war against Iran?
Well, I just think if Iran really did take them and they really wanted to hold them hostage, they would have done what they did during the Jimmy Carter era.
Wait,
right?
You don't think that they really were taken?
No, of course they were taken. But my point is that if they wanted to hold them, if this was a purposeful attack by the Iranian government to provoke an international incident, why would they say, well, we'll let them go and we're not going to harm them? We will let them go, we're not going to harm them, but you have to admit you came into our water. And British go, well, we're not going to admit that. Yeah, but we're not going to harm them. We're going to let them go.
They also want the release of their Iranian people that were captured in Iraq for, like I said, distributing those arms.
No, they haven't said that. They haven't said quid pro quo. They said if you admit you came into our water, we will let them go.
Well,
and so do you think?
So what are you thinking
that the Brits would show them in a very great light, and it would show us as trespassers? But we don't know that they would let them go. We don't know how.
Here's the problem: what you just said, us. Because it's now Britain and the United States pretty much against the rest of the world. So how did this happen?
So you think now that, are you assuming then that this was something put together by our administration and Tony Blair in terms of staging this act and so that we could get into Iran? Because that would make for a very, maybe, smart president, and everyone seems to be thinking that he can't work together.
Say it again.
I'm just saying,
say it again. Wait a minute. When you say that he's smart, I have to hear it again.
Yeah. Say it again and go slow.
It would seem to me that if you're saying that if these...
No, I'm not saying. You can say what you... Here's what happened. These guys went here, okay? Iran said, that's our water. Get out of our water. We're taking you back. Britain says, they took our guys. Iran goes, no, you were in our water. Say you're in our water and we'll give you the map.
Where's
what do
the
you
line?
think is the cause behind that?
Well, there are many, many ways to think of it, but historically, have governments ever faked incidents or incited incidents in order to get them into wars? Nations.
Do you think this is an
has
example
that happened historically?
I'm sure it has.
Yeah,
I don't think this is the case right here. I don't think that there was a conspiracy between Bush and Tony Blair to put these soldiers in as pawns so that we can jump into Iran. I think we're going to try to use other methods to stop their program.
There's an admiral who asked that we use diplomatic methods to get out of it, and that's where I wish that we would. I mean, I wish everybody would exercise diplomacy and compromise, and sometimes you have to give something up in order to achieve achieve something better, peace, sometimes you have to do that. And it seems like it's those ideologies that are not being talked about enough. What would a diplomatic compromise be? What would a diplomatic summit be here?
And it's very hard in America when anyone from the Mideast has been so demonized that no matter what, it's impossible for some people to believe that the Iranians in any way could ever do anything ethical in any capacity. That they've somehow been dehumanized to the point where they're not people who, they're just the enemy. They're terrorists.
We're not talking about the Iranian people. We're talking about their government, who essentially has total control over them. They essentially have zero say in that government.
That's how people see us, I hope, in the world.
That's right, our government, right? People, I hope people across the world don't think what George Bush is doing represents the American people, because the last election showed it does not.